Some days, the weight of everything pulls me in different directions, like I'm caught between a storm of emotions and no way to escape. You somehow have a way of amplifying that, as if you understand the exact moment when my patience is most fragile. I keep telling myself that not every moment has to be an emotional battle, but then you come along and test every last bit of calm I have left, like you know exactly which buttons to push, and it's exhausting. There are moments when I feel like my thoughts are swirling in a tornado, desperate to make sense of things. And then there's you, who always seems to step in at the most vulnerable point, stirring the chaos even more. Some days, it's like I'm walking on a tightrope, trying to stay balanced between my emotions and the world around me. But you, with your impeccable timing, always seem to add weight to the rope, making the fall seem inevitable. It's almost like you have a sixth sense for catching me at my most exhausted, when my patience is hanging by a thread, and you always manage to pull on it just a little bit more. Sometimes I think it's not so much about what you're saying or doing, but the way you're able to find the cracks in my defenses and wedge your thoughts in, making it feel like a constant tug of war in my mind. I feel like I'm holding a million pieces of my world together, trying not to drop any of them, and then you show up, pulling at the strings of my thoughts until everything feels like it's about to unravel. It's like I'm trying to keep my calm, but you come along, gently nudging me in the wrong direction, and suddenly all of the things I thought I had control over start to slip through my fingers. You've perfected the art of stirring up the emotions I didn't even know were there. The quiet moments are interrupted by thoughts I didn't ask for, and the chaos always seems to grow when you're near. My thoughts are scattered in a million directions, each one pulling me away from the center of peace. And yet, somehow, you seem to be the one thing that always redirects my focus, making it hard to find my footing again. Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning in my own emotions, trying to surface and breathe, and then you dive into the depths with me, pulling me even further down with each word or glance. The hardest part is knowing that I'm not even upset with what you do. I'm upset with the fact that you know exactly how to break through all my attempts at inner peace. It's almost like you have an uncanny ability to turn simple moments into emotional roller coasters. Every small thing becomes amplified, every reaction more dramatic. I've often wondered if it's you or my own emotional landscape that makes every moment feel like a battle, where I'm forced to choose between keeping the peace and expressing how deeply you've affected me. In the silence between words, there's a tension, a kind of energy that builds in the air, And somehow, you're always the one who knows how to tap into it, making it harder to breathe. Sometimes, I think you're a magnet for all the stress I carry, pulling it closer to me, making everything feel 10 times more intense than it has to be. There are moments when I'm trying to stay calm, grounded in my thoughts, and then you come along, gently nudging me like you've figured out the precise time when I'm most vulnerable. I've been trying to sort through my feelings, figure out what's really bothering me, but it's hard to get clarity when you keep pulling me in different emotional directions every time we interact. There's an almost surreal quality to how you can take a simple, calm moment and make it feel like a storm, not by what you do, but by how you make me feel in the midst of it all. You have this way of making me feel every emotion at once, each one overwhelming me and leaving me unsure whether to retreat or face it head on. It's not always your words that get to me, but the way they linger in my thoughts long after the conversation ends, like a song that gets stuck in your head. I feel like I'm constantly juggling my thoughts and emotions, trying to make sense of everything, and then you come along, throwing a curveball into the mix, and suddenly everything feels more complicated. You don't have to say much to make me feel like my patience is thinning. It's almost as if you can sense the exact moment when I'm about to crack, and then you push just a little harder. I used to think I had control over my emotions, that I could keep them in check, but you always seem to find a way to disrupt that balance, leaving me with more questions than answers. I try to be patient, to understand where you're coming from, but it's like every word you say chips away at my resolve, turning small frustrations into monumental ones. There's an overwhelming sense of helplessness when I realize that no matter how much I try to keep calm,